A paycheck lands on Friday morning. For a few seconds, life feels lighter. Then, the mortgage hits. Or the rent. The car payment comes out. Insurance shows up like it owns the place. Groceries somehow turn 5 normal bags into $180. A kid needs shoes. The electric bill is rude for no reason. And by Monday, the paycheck is not exactly gone, but it has already been claimed. That is the part that messes with people. They are not lazy. They are not reckless. They are not buying yachts, private islands, or gold-plated waffle makers. They are working, paying bills, keeping the car alive, trying to save, trying not to make dumb decisions. And still, one normal surprise can shake the whole month. Welcome to Dean Decodes Money. Today, we're decoding why hardworking Americans can earn decent money and still feel financially fragile. Dean calls it the paycheck conversion rule. Wealth is not built by how much money enters your life. Wealth is built by how much of that money survives your life, then gets converted into margin, ownership, and options. The wrong number is income. The real number is conversion. How much of your paycheck turns into breathing room? How much turns into lower future bills? How much turns into savings, investments, skills, debt reduction, or cash that protects you from bad timing? And how much disappears into the fixed cost machine before you ever get a vote? That is the difference between looking fine and actually being safe. Let's make it real. Mark and Lisa make $128,000 a year. That sounds solid. Not rich. Not my dog has a financial advisor rich. But solid. Their friends assume they are fine, and on paper, they are. But after taxes, health insurance, smaller than they want retirement contributions, and payroll deductions, their take-home pay is around $7,500 a month. Then, real life starts taking bites. Mortgage, property tax, and homeowners insurance, $2,650. 2 vehicles, including 1 payment and insurance, about $1,150. Groceries, $950. Utilities, phones, internet, subscriptions, $650. Student loans and credit card minimums, $620. Childcare, $1,250. Gas, copays, school stuff, and the little household expenses that sneak in through the side door, another $700. Now look at what happened. They make $128,000. But after the fixed cost machine finishes chewing, they may have only a few $100s of true monthly margin. A household that sounds comfortable on paper may have less real flexibility than the price of 1 moderate car repair. The salary sounds strong. The shock absorption is thin. Their income says comfortable. Their margin says exposed. And exposed feels like anxiety. It feels like checking the bank app in the grocery store parking lot. It feels like hoping the check engine light is just being dramatic. It feels like getting a raise and somehow still needing the credit card by the end of the month. This is not a moral failure. It is a conversion problem. Recent Federal Reserve household data found that only about 63% of adults could cover a $400 emergency with cash, savings, or a credit card they could pay off right away. $400 is not a disaster movie. It is a tire, a minor medical bill, a plumbing visit, one unpleasant Tuesday. But if one unpleasant Tuesday turns into a balance, the machine gets heavier. Next month still has next month's bills, plus a payment for last month's problem. That is how survival mode quietly installs itself. Survival mode asks, can I make it to the next paycheck? The paycheck conversion rule asks, did this paycheck make the next one less trapped? Those are not the same question. If this already makes your paycheck look different, subscribe. Dean decodes the hidden money rules before they quietly cost you. Now here's where the trap gets expensive. Most financial advice looks at the wrong layer. Make more money is not bad advice, but if every raise gets absorbed by housing, transportation, insurance, debt, lifestyle upgrades, and delayed repairs, more income just gives the machine more fuel. Spend less is not bad advice either, but if the biggest costs are locked in before the month starts, The problem is not the coffee. The problem is that the paycheck is being converted into obligations faster than it is being converted into options. Every dollar usually becomes one of three things: consumption, obligation, or optionality. Consumption is groceries, dinner out, shoes, the phone, the life you are trying to live. Obligation is the monthly payment, the debt minimum, the insurance bill, the subscription, the contract, the thing that comes back whether you are excited or not. Optionality is different. It is the emergency fund that keeps a $400 problem from becoming a $900 problem. It is the paid-off credit card that lowers pressure next month. It is the 401k contribution your future self still owns. It is the skill that helps you negotiate better pay. It is the cash buffer that lets you leave a bad job without immediately panicking. It is the difference between having choices and just having due dates. That is why a $10,000 raise can disappear. The raise was real. The wealth was not. Because the money entered the household, but it never changed the structure. It did not lower a payment. It did not build a buffer. It did not buy ownership. It simply gave the machine more room to grow. Mark and Lisa are not fragile because they lack discipline. They are fragile because their household has been designed around interruption-free income. As long as both paychecks arrive, the machine runs. But if one income drops, one car repair hits, one medical bill shows up, or one insurance premium jumps, the machine does not bend. It cracks. Gross income makes you feel safe. Margin tells you whether you are. The first place the paycheck gets trapped is usually not the obvious place. Not the $7 coffee. Not the random Amazon order. Not the extra guacamole, although somehow that does feel like a mortgage decision now. The first trap is fixed costs. Housing, car payments, insurance, debt minimums, childcare, student loans, phone plans, subscriptions. These costs are not automatically bad. A mortgage can be reasonable. A car can be necessary. Childcare can be the only reason two parents are able to work. The problem is when fixed costs become so heavy that your paycheck has no room to become anything else. That is the paycheck absorption trap. Income comes in. Obligations line up. The paycheck gets absorbed. Then whatever is left has to fund savings, emergencies, investing, birthdays, tires, medical copays, school fees, and the mysterious category known as, how did we spend that much at Target? That is not a budget. That is a pressure chamber. And from the outside, it can look completely normal. Mark and Lisa have a house, 2 jobs, 2 cars, kids in daycare, health insurance, a little going into retirement. They are not living like cartoon millionaires, but almost every dollar has a job before it arrives. That means their budget only works if life behaves, and life is not known for behaving. This is why we can afford it can be dangerous. Most people use afford to mean, can we make the monthly payment? Wrong number. The real question is, can we make the payment and still build margin? Can we still save? Can we still invest? Can we handle a normal emergency without borrowing? Can we survive if one paycheck gets interrupted? Most systems are not built to show you that test. A lender shows approval. A dealership shows the monthly payment. A credit card company shows the minimum due. A mortgage calculator shows principal and interest before the full iceberg appears. But your life does not run on approval. Your life runs on margin. This is not necessarily corruption. It is an incentive structure. The dealership gets paid when the car is sold, so the conversation moves toward the payment that gets you to say yes. The lender gets paid when the loan exists, so the system is built around qualifying you, not protecting your flexibility. The credit card company benefits when the balance becomes normal. The machine does not need to be evil for the math to hurt you. It just needs to show you the smaller number first. That is how the wrong number wins. Monthly payment instead of total cost. Gross income instead of margin. Approval instead of safety. Minimum due instead of debt gravity. Nobody feels trapped on the day they sign. They feel it later, when every reasonable decision shows up in the same month with its handout. Because a paycheck is like water entering a house. If the pipes are solid and the storage tank works, that water can fill something. But if there are holes everywhere, it still comes in. You can hear it. You can see it moving. Then it disappears. Fixed costs are the holes under the bucket. A raise is just more water. And more water only helps if the holes are not growing faster than the flow. So how do you know whether your paycheck is becoming options or getting absorbed? You start with one number. Dean calls it your freedom margin. Take-home pay minus true required costs. Housing, utilities, transportation needed for work, insurance, debt minimums, groceries, childcare, medical needs, basic communication. What is left after that is your freedom margin. That is the number that tells the truth. If it is healthy, you can direct money towards savings, investments, debt payoff, skills, and choices. If it is thin, every financial goal becomes a fight. And if it is negative, you are not budgeting. You are bleeding. This is where people punish themselves in the wrong category. They look at coffee and feel guilty. They look at a restaurant bill and feel guilty. And yes, small spending matters. But if the engine is on fire, maybe do not start by polishing the cup holders. Variable spending is where guilt lives. Fixed spending is where power often hides. Cutting a $12 subscription helps a little. Reducing a $750 car payment changes the machine.
That often means expensive debt.
Avoiding one new fixed payment can matter more than clipping coupons for 3 years. The priority is to stop the paycheck from being pre-spent. Then comes the second question. What does your margin become? If margin turns into random comfort, it disappears. If margin turns into ownership, the system changes. Wealth is not the outfit money wears. Wealth is the part of your money that can keep working after you stop working. Cash, investments, equity, a skill, a paid-off debt, a lower fixed cost life. Ownership is not always exciting. Sometimes it looks like a boring automatic transfer. Sometimes it looks like paying down a credit card instead of buying something that would make the weekend feel better. Sometimes it looks like driving the same car one more year while everyone else upgrades into a payment. Not glamorous. But glamorous is expensive. And many people confuse looking successful with becoming harder to control. Those are not the same thing. Now, when people feel stuck long enough, they do not just want progress, they want escape. That is where bad decisions get persuasive. A person with no margin hears about someone doubling their money in a stock. A person drowning in payments hears about passive income. A person ashamed of being behind sees a luxury lifestyle online and thinks, maybe I'm the only one not playing the game correctly. That feeling is dangerous. Not because wanting more is wrong. Wanting safety is normal. The danger is that desperation makes speed look like strategy. And speed is expensive when you have no shock absorption. Dean's rule is not take bigger risks. It is earn the right to take risk. Build margin first, then cash, then knowledge, then ownership you actually understand. So here's the reset. First, calculate your real freedom number. Monthly take-home pay minus required costs. If your salary says you are fine, but your real freedom number says you have $280 of breathing room, the salary is not running your life. The margin is. Second, separate flexible costs from structural costs. Flexible costs are daily leaks. Structural costs are the big recurring obligations that shape the month before you make any daily decision. Do not only ask, where did I overspend this week? Ask, which recurring cost is controlling the next 12 months? Because a $17 lunch can be a bad habit, but a $720 car payment can be a financial identity crisis with cup holders. Third, choose one conversion target, not 12. 1. Build a $1,000 emergency wall. Pay off one high-interest card. Increase the 401k contribution by 1%. Refuse to replace a car payment when the loan ends. Shop insurance. Reduce one fixed bill. Ask one question. Will this make future paychecks less trapped? If yes, it counts. Fourth, protect freed up money before the machine recaptures it. A payment ends. A raise arrives. A tax refund lands. For a moment, there is space. Then the household adapts. The money gets absorbed into nicer normal. No villain entered the room. The machine just recaptured the margin. For Mark and Lisa, if the car loan ends, that old payment needs a new job before the household gives it a new lifestyle. Part to the emergency wall. Part to debt. Part to retirement. Part to the next car repair before the next car repair becomes a credit card balance. Fifth, automate one ownership habit. Do not rely on leftover money. Leftover money is a myth in a busy household. $25 to savings, $50 to a Roth IRA, 1% more to a 401k, a weekly transfer to a car repair fund. The amount matters less at first than the direction. The habit teaches your paycheck a new path. Not income, bills, leftovers. Income, bills, ownership, then lifestyle. That order is the operating system. Now, this does not mean everyone can fix everything with 5 neat steps. Life is not a whiteboard. Some people are dealing with low wages, brutal rent, medical debt, childcare costs, layoffs, disability, caregiving, or a starting line that was never fair. So no, this is not the speech where we pretend every outcome is just discipline. That is lazy. But the opposite lie is dangerous too. The lie that because the system is hard, your choices do not matter. They do. Maybe not all at once. Maybe not in a clean, inspirational montage, but they matter. Because the first goal is not to become rich overnight. The first goal is to stop making the future heavier. So the decoded rule is this. The wealthy are not simply people who earn more. Plenty of high earners are broke with better furniture. The wealthy are people who convert more of what they earn into things that survive the month. Margin, ownership, cash, skills, lower obligations, options. The survival operating system uses money to get through the next bill. The wealth operating system uses money to make the next bill less dangerous. One system resets every payday. The other gets a little stronger every payday. Start smaller. Find your real freedom number. Pick one structural cost. Choose one conversion target. Protect freed up money before the machine recaptures it. Automate one ownership habit. One cleaner number. One lower fixed cost. One small emergency wall. One automatic transfer. One decision that makes the next paycheck less trapped than this one. That is how the operating system changes. Quietly at first, then visibly, then permanently. Because the goal is not to look rich. The goal is to become harder to break. If this helped you see the real rule behind the paycheck, subscribe. Dean Decodes Money is here to decode the hidden money rules before they quietly cost